TIFU by cracking a joke at my wife's doctor appointment. So as per usual, this did not happen today, but rather took place a couple years ago. But a CO worker sent me something on Snapchat today that reminded me of my UCK up. My wife was having a consultation to have a procedure done on her uterus and obviously wanted me to come with to help remember things and maybe come up with questions she didn't think of. Her OB doctor goes through all the specifics of the procedure and finishes up her presentation with saying we won't be able to have X for 2 weeks. My wife, being an eternal smartass, turns to me and says, "Did you hear that, honey? No X for 2 weeks. Me without skipping a beat. Okay, but what does your dentist say?" Wife wasn't super amused, but her OB doctor thought it was funny as hell. Full disclosure, wife found it hilarious later. I think she was more embarrassed at the time. And I realize this is probably a joke from somewhere, which is why I think it popped in my head so fast as a reply. TLDR made a low job joke at wife's doctor appointment. Wife was not too amused. TIFU by masturbating on my last night before my 25th birthday. So this literally happened last night. It's my birthday today. Yay me. Never thought I remember my 25th birthday like this. It was almost midnight and my orny SS brain thought it was a good idea to have a nice climax to start my new year. But just as the climax approached, the universe had a cruel surprise in store for me. It was just past midnight. I've been beating the meat for around 10 minutes. I was just about to finish up my session, but then without knocking the door swung open. Yes. My mom had chosen this exact moment to surprise me and wish me an early birthday. So there I was, naked on the bed. No sheets because it's summer and warm as hell. While my mom was just standing there. The smile on her face quickly faded when she realized. She just walked away and closed the door. The worst part might even be that I did not even enjoy a nice But that might be my least worries for now. TLDR. Wanted to beat the meat, but just before the climax my mom decided it was a good time to wish May a happy birthday. Edit. This comment section is not the birthday gift I was expecting. But thank you all for the birthday wishes and laughs. Edit 2. Okay, this blew up. Not the way I intended to celebrate. But I am laughing my SS off at some of these comments. Love you all. TIFU by having X on a beanbag chair. I'll begin by saying that my fiancé is very well endowed. Neither of us have taken a ruler to it, but judging by the width of my hands, he's a solid 7.5 to 8 inches. It's great, but it also means that certain positions require more gentleness than others. We recently purchased a 2-person beanbag chair, highly recommended, and I wanted to try a new position on it, but due to the instability of the beanbag chair, he went into me too hard too fast and we had to stop. We've had our fair share of these instances before, but this wasn't a normal, put a heat pack on it and chill out, X injury. The pain on this one kept spreading. It started in my uterus and radiated up into my abdomen. At first I thought it was gas pain, then around the 3-hour mark one couldn't stand up without feeling like I was going to faint. I could barely move, and I couldn't pee. I checked my IUD strings and they seemed okay, but a displaced IUD was my best bet for what was going on. Unfortunately I live in a small town with a very hitty hospital, and it took 12 hours to get a CAT scan and the results back. In this time I was in agony. The pain was still there, it was getting harder to breathe, and every time I tried to recline or lie down an 11/10 pain shot up from my ribs to my neck that sent me to tears. The only pain med I'd gotten at this point was intermittent doses of Toradol, which did absolutely nothing for the pain. Turns out my IUD was fine, but my fiancé's ick had ruptured an ovarian cyst and blood had been pooling in my abdomen. There was so much blood that it was preventing my lungs from expanding all the way. I got rushed to another hospital and got emergency surgery. They cauterized the ruptured cyst and pumped 2.5 pints, over a liter, of blood out of my abdomen. I'm home and healing now, and well enough to make jokes about my fiancé's lethal anus. TLDR, my fiancé's big ick ruptured an ovarian cyst and I almost died. TIFU by calling out another man's name while I slept. So my partner and I have been together for almost 4 years, and of course I love her. She is the woman I am going to marry and the only person I want to be with. Also, not that you'll believe me, but I am straight. While I consider myself an ally, I am not gay. I'm not opposed to the idea of bisexuality, but I'm just not into dudes like that, so I don't think I am. I just had a really great dream last night. Last night I had an epic romantic dream. It was some forbidden love where I was in love with a man. The dream was seriously like a movie. I mean, it was awesome. Nothing NSFW happened either. Well, unless you count passionate kissing as NSFW, but it wasn't a dirty dream. At all. It was just romantic and epic. And I should be allowed to enjoy when my brain serves me movies at night. But where I foo is that I apparently said the man name out loud. I'll be honest, didn't even remember the dude's name. But my fiancée sure did. She asked me about Julio and why I kept calling for him last night. I thought it'd be funny if I said, the man of my dreams, 'cause I mean technically true. But she did not seem amused, so I downplayed it a bit and didn't mention how much I enjoyed the dream. She didn't even like that joke. How would I tell her that I had an affair with a man in my dream? She then accused me of being closeted and said I needed to sort my hit out. Because dreams are what the subconscious wants or thinks. And insisted that it didn't sound like an innocent dream. Which again, nothing sexual happened, other than passionate kissing, and also it was only a dream. And like I told her, I've had dreams where I am an actual elephant. I don't want to be an elephant. IDK what her deal is, man. I hope she gets over it soon, 'cause Julio will sweep me of my feet, Mao TLDR. I'm straight but had an epic gay romance dream and called the guy's name out in my sleep. My fiancé thinks I am closeted now. Update. Y'all, I had so much fun reading this I couldn't get through all of them. There is a Lodi was prepared to not even bring it up again, 'cause I figured maybe she needed to deal with something, since that reaction was very out of character for her. But she came up to me and apologized for overreacting. Turns out her first long-term relationship, 3 years, was very similar to ours, and the guy had even talked about proposing to her on having kids with her, but never did. He was in the closet for a good long while. She explained that near the end he would talk about a guy non-stop and mention his name while he slept, and would drop everything for the guy, even when they were out together. He eventually told her that he realized he was gay, that it was over and that he had been cheating for months with the guy. She stopped dating seriously after that, until we met. She said that last night freaked her out, because Evan thought she hadn't thought about what happened in years. She wasn't ready to go through it again. I reassured her that even if I was attracted to men, I would never step out of the relationship for a man or a woman, 'cause she is the only person I see a future in life with. She is after all the love of my life, and Julio is just some interesting himbo my brain created. But something great came out of it. Today we started talking about our past relationships, which we never had really done. It was a lot of fun getting to know that side of her. And once the waters were cooled down and we were joking, I threw in a couple of quick jokes about my ex, Julio, and our epic adventures. We've laughed so much, it's been a great Sunday. TIFU by not realizing someone was in the middle of being fired. This actually happened today. The company I work for is sometimes a little bipolar, and there is a tendency for us to move offices sometimes at what seems like a whim. For the last month or so, large portion of our offices have been going through changes due to renovations. The result of these changes is an almost musical chair quality to who is in what office and how long they may be there. So yesterday, the newest area being renovated resulted in one of the women from that area being relocated to the office next to mine. Now we all have a tendency to be a little sarcastic and constantly give each other hit around the office. So today when I walked by the office next door and saw 2 managers and in there with the recently relocated woman, I didn't think much of it. Then I saw she was packing a box with her stuff. So of course my first thought was it's time for some ribbing. I poked my head in the office and loudly said, "Amen, they must not like you sharing an office over here if they are already kicking you out." Both managers immediately got horrified looks on their faces and started making gestures for me to get lost. That's when I realized the recently relocated woman was crying and packing her stuff because she had just been fired. I felt horrible and immediately slunk off to hide my face. To make it even worse, I didn't get a chance to apologize before she left the office. TLDR walked by the office cube next door to mine and made a sarcastic comment about the occupant packing her stuff for what I thought was her 2nd office move in 24 hours, only to find out she was in the middle of being fired. Edit. Okay, so I keep seeing comments about contacting her to apologize. That's not going to happen. From what I heard today, the primary reason of the firing was from some extremely disturbing text messages sent to the owner's daughter the night before. After those messages, I don't think contact with her is a can of worms I want to open. TIFU by putting my face in my Grindr profile. Well, this is what I get for experimenting sexually with my partner. A few months ago, my 21M girlfriend, 19F, admitted to being turned on at the thought of watching me with other people. Since March, we've only fooled around with one other person, who is her roommate. Now, being bi-curious, I proposed to my girlfriend that I do things with a guy in front of her, and she was all for it. As a result, one fateful evening, I downloaded the best app for such an occasion, Grindr. Without thinking, I put a picture of my face on my profile without thinking much of it. As you all ought to be expecting at this point, this was my UCK up. One coworker of mine, James, is openly gay. Should also be noted that my girlfriend and I work together. Now, prior to this incident, I was under the assumption that James had a boyfriend. It wasn't until I pulled up to work for the day that I saw his face in one of the profiles. Immediately my stomach sank and I blocked him, hoping, praying that he didn't see me on that app. All goes well until another coworker of ours, Madison, approached me in private and says, "Hey, so James says that he saw you on Grindr?" So, within a few minutes, not only did James recognize me on the app, but he also told some 04 coworkers? My girlfriend, of course, finds the situation hilarious and plans to play it out as if she didn't know what was going on. I, on the other hand, am having a bit of a heart attack as some of my friends think I'm trying to have an illicit gay affair behind my girlfriend's back. I guess only time will tell how this whole mess turns out. I think I'm gonna avoid experimenting with guys for the foreseeable future, though. TLDR. I used my face in my Grindr profile and my coworker thinks I'm cheating on my girlfriend.